Gallo, OKC Thunder. Mark, before the game, or Shai, said before the game that you guys needed to create your own energy on the second night of a back-to-back. How did you see that play out in tonight's game? Seemed like you guys kind of had to prevent the New York from bogging you guys down.
Yeah, we had one of the emphasis tonight was being a tougher team. They're known for that. It's their style of play. Tibbs is known for that. They're very physical. They pack the paint. They play fast and they play hard. And we just tried to match that, if not exceed that energy, and be the aggressors in a more physical team all night. Now we had lapses where we weren't. Obviously, they kind of came back in the game a little bit, but we turned it on enough tonight to get a W.
As a guy who's had to see and navigate so many different types of defenses, what was your perspective of the way that J-Dub and Chet dealt with their switching in the fourth quarter before you checked in? It seemed like they were still able to get exactly what they wanted and not kind of get stalled in isolation.
Yeah, they were great, and both those guys are only getting better with the games. They play the right way, make the right plays, and be aggressive. Those are the main things with those guys, and the proof is in the pudding, and they're getting better.
Mark was just saying, it's nice in the fourth quarter to be able to go to some other guys so that you don't have to carry everything, because one, it can gas you, and two, it makes you harder to guard if there are more options. How much does it help you when those guys are taking some of that load?
Yeah, it's needed. To win big in this league, you need multiple options down the stretch. You need multiple weapons on the basketball court at all times. And we're forming into that day by day, and that's our goal, just to be a really good basketball team and to win big in this league. So yeah, we're heading in the right direction for sure.
You talked about being the tougher team. Obviously, they're really physical. They switch a lot. When you play a team like that, what kind of accomplishment is it? You guys had 4 turnovers as a team for the entire game.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's really good on any night, obviously. But yeah, it's a testament to us being aggressive, being assertive, and then making the right basketball play, playing the right way, and playing for each other.
Earlier this season, you talked about how you stay the course and not get out of character when guys are getting overly physical with you. How tough is it to not get out of character and just continue on to just get to your spots and play your game?
Not tough at all. It's what makes me me and how I've been taught to play the game. Always be composed. Always think next play. And always focus on winning. I try to just focus on those things, and all the other stuff comes and goes. The missed shots, the missed calls, the fans, whether you're on the road or whether you're at home. I just try to focus on the next play and what's in front of me and try to be present.
And then with the gravity you've created this season, it seems like your playmaking has taken a nice bump. And what goes into getting the ball right where your teammates want it, so they can get, they don't have to move or anything? Like when 4 guys are on you or 3 guys are on you, you get it in the exact spot where they want it. Sorry.
No, you good. Yeah, it's just making the right basketball play, playing for them, and knowing that once I get off it and establish the guys around me as weapons, teams are gonna have to worry about them, and then it leaves me more space to play. So just playing the game inside the game, reading the game, and taking what the defense gives me.
Even before he was drafted here, Dub would talk about you as a guy that he would pull things from. What's it been like to watch him evolve as a shot creator, and do you see any of your offensive gain in him?
I see a lot of it. Dub works out with me all the time. None of it I'm surprised by. From day one, he asks questions. Obviously, we've grown a lot closer since day one. But yeah, he's getting better every day. He's going to be a star in this league for a long time, as we can see, and sky's the limit for him.
So on a similar note, I'm curious because you saw him in these situations last year where he kind of had to close a game or two here, but just have you seen him maybe evolve as a closer type where he's closing game, not just to start those fourth quarters where you're not in the game, but maybe in those dwindling final minutes of the game?
Yeah, he just gets more comfortable every game, every week with his reps. The biggest thing with him was just him being aggressive early in his career. He's starting to get around to that and really just trust his work. But yeah, I'm glad, but none of it surprises me from him.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Jalen, even against a defense like that's trying to get you guys to play in isolation, you only had 4 turnovers as a team tonight.
Oh, wow.
What was key to getting a shot every trip down court, even when you had to kind of play not exactly to your style with the movement and the passing that you want?
I don't know. Usually a really good game with turnovers, 8? So, yeah, credit to us. I didn't know that. Just trusting each other, making the right read, not trying to do too much. They're a big team, so they like to pack the paint, and I thought we did a good job not really driving into it and kind of just trusting our sprays and playing on the catch that way. But yeah, so that was a big emphasis for us, and then obviously the less turnovers you have means you're getting a shot every play for the most part. So yeah, I thought we did a good job of that.
Jalen, talk a little bit about your fourth quarter. I mean, you had 17 points on 6. I'm sorry.
No, go crazy.
Sorry, Dan. I lost my train of thought. Talk about that fourth quarter. 17 points, 6 of 7 shooting. Made 8 straight after they'd drawn to within 6.
I did? Oh, okay. Just shooting open shots. Trying to pick my spots a little more carefully. Me and Chet had a really good two-man kind of thing going on, two-man action for a lot of those plays. And then he was making the right read on some of the sprays. And, the other guys on the floor as well were doing a good job playing off the catch and hitting shots as well, which obviously frees me up to be able to kind of have space. And then the game's easier when you make shots. So I was able to kind of hit a couple, and, that allowed me to be able to drive and opened up things for Chet to kind of have space to do his thing as well. So kind of just a collective effort, and then, like I said, just shooting open shots.
Where I asked Shai about, maybe your evolution as a kind of closer type, just closing games, how you play in the final minutes. You mentioned your aggression, your comfortability. Just could you walk me through that evolution and what you've maybe had in year 2 that wasn't there in year 1, possibly?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was there in year 1. I think it's just more opportunity as far as having close games. The way our rotation is now with Chet, I feel like I'm just in those situations more and more with our group and who we have on the floor. We're like a deep rotation team, so it just ends up being my minutes there. So I think I've just had more and more availability at the end of games, and my team trusts me to make the right play in regards to that. And I mean, when you have Shai and Chet and everybody else on the floor, it's easy to kind of just play off of regardless of time and score. I'm not really paying attention to that. If the shot's open, shoot it. If not, just kind of create action and do it that way. But yeah, my team trusts me to make the right read and play the right way. I don't really like forcing a bunch of stuff, and I'm kind of just finding where I like to be at on the floor. And yeah.
You talked about how much you like OKC. I imagine a lot of it's because of the situation you have here. But when you have a fourth quarter like that with Chet, where you guys are kind of delivering plays back and forth, just how much hope do you have for what you guys are building here?
A lot. We're growing as a team. Like you said, me and Chet, for example, just being in those that kind of minutes together. I don't even remember what time it is, but having those minutes together, getting those reps, I think me and him are a lot more efficient. We're trusting each other a lot more than we had been earlier in the year. So, he makes it easy to be able to kind of play off of him that way. And I think everybody else in the rotation is just figuring out where they fit, and everybody's trying to do their role to the best of their ability. So I think when you have that camaraderie and that kind of team thing, I think it makes it easy for me to kind of go out there and just do what I do.
Mark talked to him about those minutes earlier in the season with you and Chet, where you guys were losing those minutes. What has that process been of you guys getting that comfort level?
Yeah, just more reps. Not everything's going to click right away, and it's a long season. Teams are going to guard us differently. We've seen a lot more looks since then. But yeah, just trusting each other. I think the best thing about it was early on not winning those minutes, but it wasn't because of us being selfish. It was just us figuring each other out. Some of the passes were late. Some of the roles and stuff we talked about. So we're just figuring out what I like to do, what he likes to do, like certain plays that we can kind of get into, kind of get us the best action. And then, everybody else on the floor as well kind of understands that. And, they're kind of ready to make big plays. Like you get Wiggs or Queso, for example, knocking down big shots. Zay, who's out there. So guys in that lineup are also making it easy, spacing-wise, cutting, making good reads, setting good screens. So just stuff like that.
You and Chet scored 25 of the first 27 in the fourth quarter. What's the value of that, both in terms of just the way you make a defense have to guard you when you got multiple options, and then just taking some of the load off Shai on a night when, the third quarter he really kind of carried the offense?
Yeah. Answer the second part first. I think taking the load off of Shai is a big thing just because, he plays a lot of minutes. So anytime you can have a outburst like that, as far as scoring goes, me and him, it allows him to, catch a breather a little more. I don't know if he likes that. He's one of those people that would probably play all 48 if he could. But, it just gives him a break and takes the pressure off for him to have to come in immediately and, score right away. So we're doing a good job of that. And, yeah, we're just figuring each other out. I think we're, Chet's able to space the floor, and also he's really elite at the rim. So I think when you have that, he's mixing in pops and rolls really well. So it's allowed me to have space and kind of keep the defense honest. It's been forcing switches, so he's done a good job of that.
Jalen, yesterday you were talking about just avoiding sort of the temptations of heat checks where you didn't take a three. Were you able to do that tonight as well?
Yeah. I just try and shoot when I'm open. I didn't really have an opportunity. I don't really think I had like a really heat check moment today. A lot of it just kind of came within the flow of the offense. I got a couple when they doubled Shai, so I was open. I got the trail three earlier, so it's not like a typical heat check, but I'm just shooting when I'm open, and I'm also shooting shots I work on. So
What's sort of the proper number, I guess, for heat check shots where you make a certain number before you start testing the waters?
depends on who you are. Some people one shot, but it just kind of depends. Honestly, a heat check could be your first shot, so it just depends on how you feel that day.
Seem like you're getting more comfortable getting to your spots, and it seems like it's getting easier. Do you feel like your comfortability level has risen?
The game's starting to slow down a little bit. Kind of understanding my team more and more. That allows me to get to where I want to be at. And guys are making it easy. Guys are making shots, which spaces the floor allows me to, create for myself, others. And, everybody's trusting each other, so it's really easy for me to kind of go out there and just make reads.
You got to get your hair re-braided?
I do. We had a water incident.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Chet, tell me about the energy that you guys had tonight, second night of a back-to-back, and kind of mustering that, creating that on your own.
I feel like we all really fed off of each other and found energy in each other out there, and the plays that everybody was making. Everybody was in it together. We had an all-five mentality, and whether it was a back-to-back or not, that was huge for us.
They tried to bog things down and switch you guys in that fourth quarter, and you and J-Dub kind of played that pick-and-pop game. What was key in that, in making sure that you guys got a shot, a good clean shot each time down, and you guys only had 4 turnovers all night?
That's impressive. Just trusting each other and being aggressive at the same time. You always want to be aggressive first, and the defense is going to give something up. Either it's going to be an initial point of attack, which a lot of times teams in the NBA are not trying to do, or it's going to be a pass to somebody when the help comes. And we did a good job of reading the game tonight and understanding which advantage we had, and that was working not only for me and Dub, but everybody else out there.
Chet, like we kind of talked about, you and Dub going back and forth was pretty key there in that fourth quarter. And I'm curious because Mark mentioned that you guys weren't always winning those minutes with you and Dub on the floor together. So just could you kind of walk me through the process of, your evolution of your pairing with him and what's going into that?
Just building chemistry and learning and talking to Coach as well on what we feel comfortable with. And he does a great job of trusting us within that and listening to us and communicating and figuring out what's going to work. And then also he has a great vision of kind of development in those things. Not everything's going to be perfect the first time we do it. He does a good job of allowing us room to grow as long as he feels the intentions are right. And obviously that we can't just lose those minutes every time we go out there. So we understood that we had to get better within it, and I feel like we're doing that, and we just got to continue to be even better going forward.
Follow up, if I may. What's it taking between you and Dub specifically to make that work?
I mean, it's great when Dub doesn't miss from three and he has 36. So if we can get that every night, it'd be great. But as a realist, I don't believe that 5 for 5 from three or whatever is possible over an 82 game stretch. So just building chemistry with them and having confidence in each other that whatever play one another makes is going to be the right play for the team out there, and we're doing a good job of building that, and we got to keep doing it going forward.
Chet, Mark mentioned, I wonder if you have an appreciation for what you and Dub are doing offensively tonight and nights like this, what it does for Shai, just in terms of not having to carry the load some, getting a little bit of a breather, and not having to worry about the offense when he's out.
I mean, Shai's Shai. He's going to do what he does every single night. But in the NBA, one man can't win a basketball game. So we know we have to step up and make game-winning plays on both ends of the floor, whether it's scoring or making plays on the defensive end, whatever it might be. All 5 guys out there and all the coaches on the bench and the players on the bench as well have to be locked in and ready to make plays throughout the game. And I feel like we did a great job of that tonight.
Chet, a few games ago I asked Dub just about comparing and contrasting your game from a few years ago in college to now, and he mentioned the amount of freedom that you have now. Just want to get your initial comments on that, and just what are the biggest differences that you've noticed in Dub's game going back to your college days to seeing him now?
Obviously, he's put on some weight. He's gotten bigger, and he's been able to play through physicality even better. He was a great driver in college, and he could shoot off the dribble as well, which he still does now. But with that added strength, it's really hard to just kind of push him off his line. He kind of gets where he wants to go. And I'd say to his comment about the difference between college and now, I guess you could say some of his freedom, but I'm also a way better player than I was in college, just with the amount of work that I've put in and kind of what I put into my game. I wasn't able to do a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now in college. So, and hopefully each year I'm able to look back and say I'm better than I was last year. But, credit to my teammates for putting me in positions to be able to use my skill set and the coaches for having the freedom and trust in me to go out there and do that.
Been a lot of buzz around you as potential Rookie of the Year, potential All-Star. Do you hear that? Do you see that? And if so, how do you tune that out or keep your head down?
Before the game, I was focused on playing the Knicks tonight, and now that the game's over, I'm focused on playing Denver in 2 days. So that's where my head's at, and I'm focused on the Thunder and helping us win games.
The gravity that Shai has created this year has seemed to increase, and I know you don't have anything to compare it to, but what goes into creating that on-court chemistry to where when he drives and there's 4 guys on there, exactly where to be, because it seems to be exactly on point when he gets it to you guys.
4 guys on him? Yeah, I mean, it does happen. He's a great player. I don't think teams game plan to put 4 guys on him, but it definitely happens. I mean, it just comes down to reps, and he's been a really good player for some time now, so he's seen it all. So it's kind of not just on him to figure it out, but it's also on all the other guys on the floor to figure it out and kind of know how to play off that. And as well as him, obviously, there's a lot of great players on this team. So he's also building chemistry, playing without the ball as well. And it shows out there. There's a lot of players making really good plays, and he's playing off the catch. He's running in transition, and we're finding him. So it's even harder to load up on somebody off the ball. You're not going to double him off the ball in the NBA. Dudes are just too good at this level to do that. So when he's able to play off the catch and off the ball, and it really opens things up for him. And then you guys know what he does when he has the ball in his hands. Night in and night out, he can light it up. So it's a team effort to figure it out.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Mark, you said your team was going to need to create its own energy tonight. In what facets of the game did you notice that happening to allow you guys to get this win?
Well, I thought a lot of the first half, we did a great job there. You can't underestimate the importance of a good start. And I thought we got off to a good start, built a nice lead. And then I thought, they really punched us in the third quarter. And with 5.5 to go, I think it was tied, or they were up by 2, or we were up by 2. And there was a group in there. It was Joe, Wiggins, Shai, Kaysen, K. Rich. And we were getting punked, and those guys really stood up. They strung together really important stops and kind of gave us a little more breathing room. We held them to 8 points, I think, in the last 5.5 minutes there. And that was a huge stretch of the game because we really had to stall their momentum. And I thought we did it with, standing up physically, a lot of pride with that group, and we did it with defense. It was impressive.
They tried to stall your offensive momentum by switching everything. You guys kind of countered that with pick and pops between J-Dub and Chet. Can you just tell me about how those kind of manifested and how you were able to not get bogged down against the switching?
Yeah, we were just trying to mix looks, against a team like that is pretty disciplined in their stuff. They're hard to crack for that reason. They're not going to mess up many coverages. Very, very disciplined team. And so, we try to mix the looks against teams like that. And I thought we did a good job of that. I thought we got some good cracks there.
Mark, in that fourth quarter, especially at the start, Dub and Chet really carried you offensively. Just what did you see from those two guys?
I just thought the execution for most of the night, across the board was really, really good. I thought we played a really clean offensive game, got good shots for the majority of the night, executed our stuff. We're able to counter what they were doing and go to a lot of different things very quickly. And I thought the guys were very adaptive and focused on the second night of a back-to-back. I thought that was across the board tonight.
Mark, it feels like through 3 quarters it was a lot of Shai, and then through their fourth, kind of like Brett mentioned, it was a lot of Dub, a lot of Chet. I'm curious through how many games, just what you thought of those two's connection and how they maybe fed off each other.
Chet and Dub. I give them credit because there was a stretch of games there where we were losing a lot of those minutes. Start the fourth quarter, start the second quarter. We had tried a lot of different things. They were the two common denominators in there. And they've done a great job of just kind of communicating through that, building a synergy together, and incorporating the other guys. It's not a two-man game. But I think they've really owned that in a way that is a good example of, like, things aren't always going to be perfect. There's going to be struggles throughout the course of the season, and we want to be solution-oriented, and I think they've done a great job of that and have built a nice chemistry.
Yeah, I know he's a sophomore, but it felt like he was putting a lot of those prime late-game positions last year. I'm just curious what you thought of Dub as maybe that kind of closer type and how he's maybe evolved in that role.
Yeah, I mean, we don't I don't like to call them closers. I mean, I thought we did a lot of different things. I thought one of the biggest plays was Dort got an advantage in a pick and pop. We threw it to him. They fully rotated off Chet. He made a great extra pass. Chet hit a 3 in the left corner. And so we try to, like I said, keep it pretty fresh, especially against a disciplined team like that. We try to give them a lot of different looks so that they can't get into a rhythm defensively. But it's nice to have guys that you can go to outside of just Shai all the time because, number one, it gasses them, and number two, you become a one-trick pony. And the late game plan comes down to just guarding one guy, and we don't want to be that type of team. We want to be a team that's dynamic and can beat you a lot of different ways. And we're developing that. It's not perfect, but certainly, we took a step forward. We played a really clean last 5 minutes tonight on offense.
You guys go small when teams go big. I mean, what goes into the decision to not try and get close to that size that other teams have on the floor?
It's not a rule. We'll look at everything. We went big with Jay Will and Chet in the second quarter tonight. So that's certainly on the table. We want to be a team that has a range of possibilities so that we can draw different tools in different situations. But we're not afraid to go small. I think we've got really competitive guys. We got first of all, we get size at other positions. We're not small across the board. We're small at the 5 in those situations, but we've got tough guys, competitive guys. The group I just mentioned, in the third quarter that kind of stood up, and I thought they changed the game after we took that punch. And those guys they're scrappy. They're just tough competitors, and it allows you to kind of play a smaller unit and trust that you're still going to be able to move the scoreboard in the right direction.
And then how do you feel about the physicality for you guys tonight?
I thought, we played a really physical team. I thought that was a good lesson for us. I thought on a lot of plays they kind of took us out of our initial stuff because of how they picked the ball up and how, they touch you up every possession. They set a very physical tone in the game, and they made it a brawl. And that's what they do. That's why they're a really good defense. And I thought we had good patience and poise to get to secondary actions and to work possessions when we didn't get initial advantages. And then I thought, we got to a point in the game where we started to get some cracks in our initial stuff as well. And that's part of the physicality I was mentioning when we kind of stood up there midway through the third.
Mark, last year you mentioned that there's sort of a spectrum for how aggressive guys are. You have on one end Lou, who you have to kind of rein in a little bit more, and then Dub, who you kind of have to push to take a few more shots. It seems like those guys have settled in more into those roles this season. What sort of goes into that? Is that more on them, or is it like a coaching conversation with them?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to acknowledge how hard it is, because you're talking about two things that are paradox. They pull a, what is it? What is it? Well, you're a journalist. Yeah. Paradoxical? Okay. They pull against each other. It's confidence and functionality are not necessarily married together. And so, and usually guys have a nature, Lou has a very aggressive nature. That's why he's a very good player. And so finding that balance is a process. It's hard. It's probably the hardest thing, I think, for a player, no matter which direction they need to move. And we just kind of walk with them in that. It's not like a coach down to player thing. You can't really get anything done if the player isn't committed to it. Compliance only gets you so far, and we try to be in it with our players in all facets of their growth, not just their shot selection, their bodies, their minds, their the way that they approach the weight room, what weight they want to play at. We don't dictate that stuff. We work with them.
We talked pregame about this team not having really played many back-to-backs so far. I'm just curious, generating that type of fourth quarter, that type of game flow on the second night of a back-to-back, does that surprise you at all from the team?
No, I'm never surprised by anything competitive with these guys. They've really set a great tone of that. But I thought we really got into our depth in the first half. We were able to keep the minutes under control and still have control of the game. We played a lot of different guys, and we had a very balanced rotation minutes-wise in the first half, which allows you to kind of hit the gas in the second half with some of the higher minute guys without it turning into a 40-minute night for a bunch of guys. And so I thought they had gas in the tank for that reason, and it had gas in the tank. We did the same thing last night. We were able to keep minutes under control in that game as well. So I think that's a 1 through 15 endeavor.